Well, we noticed though after that, kind of like our snow example here, we had supporting details, those facts and informations about the piece there. So first place, we got the two different stores and the fact that people are very polarized. They're like, yeah, you'd be like, yeah, I'm either a fan of Heggies or Baldwin's here. I don't know about you, but does this sound a little extreme? Be like, you're one of those Heggies people. I can't be friends with you. No. But notice everything else is just supporting that idea. So, in addition to getting these big ideas and figuring out what are the support here, one of the things that's really going to take your reading performance to the next level is getting used to making inferences. And here is one thing Boris and I want to just highlight. We're going to put this in all caps to really, really bring this home here up at the top here. Whatever your inferences that you make on a passage must be true based off of the passage here. It if it's not directly stated, then it's just not true there. So let's think about this. If it's not, I guess if it's not supported, now it doesn't have to be, it's not directly stated, but if it's not supported there, thank you. That is the better word. It's not in, yeah. Love the way, look at the way Boris is putting that. It's not a reasonable guess there. So let's look at this one. To calm our puppy down, we head to the park for 1 hour of exercise with other neighborhood dogs. Well, let's think about what we know here. What is this author implying the result of exercising with the neighborhood dogs is going to be? Yeah, it's going to calm the puppy down here. The dog is hyper. Taking the dog to the park will calm him down there. So the dog was had lots of energy, and going to the park is going to help reduce that energy there. Anybody who's ever had a puppy before knows that this is oh my gosh, puppies are amazing. They have a stupid amount of energy, like more energy than they feels like they should possibly have here. That. But so this we have evidence to support this here. But yeah, but if you don't we don't have support, then we can't prove it here. Now, something that we want to kind of think about in terms of this, we think about what we can actually conclude here. And I'm going to borrow an example from a colleague of ours here. And let's say Boris and I, we were out. We had a hypothesis here, and we were out to prove that all people studying for the GED like pizza. So here's the question that we have. Well, if we wanted to prove this and say, like, okay, make this a valid inference, we got proof for this here. How many people would we need to get to say, yes, I do in fact like pizza? If we consider like every person around the world studying for the GED. No, it would have to be everyone. If we want to prove it without a doubt, we have to we have to have everyone. That is hard to do. Well, but answer this question. Is there anybody here who happens to like pizza? Okay, we're done. We proved that some people like pizza here. And so we see like a very weak thing there. Oh, nice, Debbie, nice. But very weaker statements like that some people like pizza. That is a much easier statement to prove there. So we typically like to avoid trying to make grand, extreme conclusions here. So this is what we'll just say. Extreme statements are hard to prove. Now, notice we didn't say that you can't prove them. Sometimes, if a passage just said something like, I don't know, pull out a reference to a cartoon from when I was little, the movie like All Dogs Go to Heaven. We'll keep on the animal theme here. If the passage actually said that, you could make a firm statement that like, oh, something's a dog, then yeah, well, we know what's happened to that dog there. But you have to, if you have the extreme proof, you can, but if you don't, be very wary of trying to make grand statements. Grand statements are classic going beyond the passage here. So authors are often also going to be drawing conclusions there. And if you think about, or if you're asked to draw a conclusion, when we say we're drawing a conclusion here, I wouldn't just say it's like inferences. These are inferences. If you've made a logical conclusion based off of statements that are given to you in the passage, you've made an inference based on the passage here. So let's take a look through this passage we have up on the screen. Thank you for sending your resume in response to our newspaper advertisement. We consider the company and especially our employees to be the best, and we want to keep it that way. For this reason, we carefully review each resume that's sent to us. We are currently reviewing applications and expect to schedule interviews in the next couple of weeks. If you are selected for an interview, you can expect a phone call from our human resources staff. Well, what kind of conclusions can we actually draw from this? Do we know anything about the status of this person's job application? Yeah, we know what they say there. Well, Dion, I want to hold on to that thought there. It's a very formal response there. It's not very personal. It's just saying like, okay, if you are selected, here's what's going to happen. We can't draw any bigger conclusions here from this. There's lack of personal details here. And yes, it sounds an awful lot like a form letter that is sent to applicants here because we didn't actually get anything very specific there. Well, so Olivine, I love that you are bringing this up. So, let's be honest. Has anybody received something like this and kind of like read between the lines and said like, I think this just means they rejected me here? Yeah. Does this actually tell us that though? And this is where we have to be really careful here. We don't want to take our own personal experience because yeah, quite frankly, I read this and I was like, this is a story I've heard many times before. Blah blah blah. Thank you for sending this. We you went into the out pile there, there. But it since we don't actually specifically have it saying that, it's very formal there. But we can't see that's the thing is we got to be careful here. On the GED, we can't safely assume there. In real life, maybe, but on the GED, because it doesn't actually say that there, we don't want to go outside of what it says. It's a tricky thing to do, quite frankly. This is something Boris and I have definitely encountered a lot ourselves as we've taught, not just from our students, but even within ourselves, that be like, oh, I've got outside knowledge about this. I don't want to draw it in because if you say we had a passage here about board games here, well, guess one of your teachers here, his name is Boris, is going to have a lot of outside knowledge about those and probably have some opinions too about what are the good games or not there. And that might be danger for Boris because he'd be after see like, nope, must keep my opinions to myself, must keep my outside knowledge to myself here. That. kind of funny. There is actually a course, and I teach for one of the college entrance exams, and there is actually a passage in one of those about board games there. So another thing that we want to talk about here, and we're getting close. We will definitely be seeing some questions here relatively soon. In fact, actually, the next slide is going to be our first passage. But we also want to think about the writer's point of view here. What is the writer's position and perspective there? Is the writer an expert in areas here? Or does the um, or is the writer just talking from completely from the outside here with this? That. But so we want to think about that. That here, and also the tone that the writer has. Is the writer enthusiastic, positive, negative? There, it's think about like if you're reading a critic, a critic's thing, because you know you probably everyone's probably read like there's some movie critic who just loves to just have clever turns of phrase, insulting everything, single thing that he or she sees there, versus somebody who's always very positive there. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So let's take a look at here. Speaking of theater reviews here, take a look through this and let us know how would you describe the frame of mind, the way the author views this performance. Yeah, this is all very positive. Strong emotions on the surface right there. Brian Dennehy apparently transformed this author with a positive performance of this play here. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about tone here. Like rather than just being purely dry and informative, like the form letter from a job application, this one is just like gushing, like, oh my gosh, this was life changing.